Chapter 1. I was born in Bensham Hospital, Gateshead, on October the 5th, 1979. I grew up with my parents and one sister called Irene, who was 6 years older than me, in God's Little Acre, which is the village of Windy Nook in Gateshead. The only person, as far as I'm aware, that has ever made any headlines from my hometown is the Black Widow, or the Merry Widow of Windy Nook, a.k.a. Mary Wilson. She may have looked like a sweet old grandma at 66, although she was anything but. Mary Wilson was sentenced to death in 1957 for the poisoning of 2 husbands. Although it was commuted to a life sentence because of her advance in age, and it was later confirmed that she had also poisoned 2 other people, another husband and a lover. Maybe they didn't do the dishes to her liking, but the general consensus is that it was down to plain old greed. The council estate of Windy Nook is almost part of Felling, so another name who came, more or less from my area, is Chris Waddle, the footballer. But other than that, there's not much drama happens there. Although many might view it as a boring little place, it's my home, and always will be. Overall, I had a happy childhood, and was brought up by my parents, who never spoiled me. My mother had 2 jobs, and my father worked just as hard. We didn't have the best of everything, but we didn't want for anything either, and we appreciated what we had. My parents were both law-abiding straight people who wouldn't do the dirty on anyone, and showed respect where it was due. As a child, I tried to fit in with the other kids from the estate, playing football, but that was never really my thing. Playing hide-and-seek in empty new-built houses was more of my thing. I was never really a bad kid in my early life. The most mischievous thing I got up to was getting a chase off Sammy the Night Watchman to ease the boredom. Life was good until the bullies came along, and I watched my grandfather, Norman Firby, have a heart attack and die in front of me when I was only 7. Watching Grandad Norman drop down in front of me is something which has always stayed with me. Grandad, who was 69 at the time, was a big bloke of 6'2", around 20 stone, and someone who liked a smoke and a drink. I didn't go to his funeral, however. Seeing him lying there in his house, in his coffin, was something I found really scary, and it sticks in my mind. These days, I'm extremely spiritual, and when I've had readings, he's always been in the background, watching over me, so you could say he's my guardian from above. When I was a young boy, my mum's brother, Uncle Tommy Whittleton, and a brother-in-law, my Uncle Ronnie Nesbitt, definitely steered me into boxing. I really looked up to the pair, but more so Ronnie, who was really my hero. Ronnie was a great boxer who would fight any man, no dramas. Ronnie beat the well-known Hartlepool fighting man, Richie Horsley, in the ring, and when he was 17, he took over South Shields single-handedly. I used to love sitting listening to Uncle Ronnie's stories whenever I could. The living hell I went through from bullying started from the age of 8 and was horrific. I would call for kids and they said they weren't playing out, but then they'd run off in gangs, and no one wanted to play with me. The bullying came because I was very small for my age, plus I didn't wear the best of clothes, so they'd call me Scruffy Firby. I wasn't scruffy, but looking back, I did wear cheap trainers compared to the other kids and things like that. Many times I'd run home crying to my mum because people had clipped us for nothing. My mum would say to me to get back out there and learn to stand up for myself. I didn't really start to stand up for myself until I learned how to box a few years on from this. The eureka moment came when a kid off the next estate called Christopher Donnelly started on me, and I ran in again crying. Mum scared me more than he did, and said if I didn't go back out to batter him, she was going to give me another good hiding. So that's what I did. I went back out and beat Christopher up, and that's when things began to change. I didn't want to face the consequences of what our man would do to me if I didn't at least have a go at giving him a beating. Although things got better on my estate after that incident, the bullying in Windy Nook Juniors and the first years of Thomas Hebben Seniors were as bad as ever.